Hi, it's Jaytney, your wellness coach. Thank you for tuning in this week. This week in the video, I want to share with you my 5 habits to cope with anxiety. So, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety a few years ago, and outside of medication, outside of therapy, I really had to come up with ways that were going to help me handle my anxiety because medication can only do so much, therapy can only do so much. So these are the 5 habits that I incorporated that I want to share with you. And I established them in the last couple of years. I'm still using them, and they've really worked wonders for me. So without further ado, let's get started. My first habit is movement is key. So, when I'm starting to feel anxious or fearful or just uneasy, I turn to movement. In my case, it's exercise. I love lifting weights. So I will do a 30-minute strength training workout. If I don't have easy access to weights, I'll probably do a cardio workout. And if that's not feasible either, then I just go on a walk with my pup or by myself. And when I walk, I don't have any headphones in, any distractions. I don't even take my phone. I'm just walking to be present and to experience my sensations and the world around me. So you figure out what kind of movement is going to work for you. It doesn't have to be exercising. It could be dancing, having a solo dance party, or it could be cleaning the house. Anything that's going to make you physical and go from point A to point B is what you want. Essentially, you want to get out of your head and into your body. When I work out and I sweat, I really feel like I'm sweating out these negative emotions and I'm sweating out my worry and my fears. So try movement. It can really do wonders for you. Habit number 2 is leaning into the discomfort. So nobody actually wants to feel anxious, right? Nobody looks forward to it. Anxiety is not a fun feeling. But when you experience it, don't run away from it. Don't look for distractions to numb the emotion, whether that be alcohol, junk food, or, binge watching Netflix. Just stop for a second and check in with yourself. And instead of saying, I am anxious, try I am feeling anxious because, and then fill in the blank. When you find the root cause of what's resulting in the anxiety, it can make a big difference in how you cope with it moving forward. So find that cause and then tackle it accordingly. Something that helps me is journaling. So I journal about 10 minutes every day, and it helps me get my thoughts on paper. So when I read what I'm thinking, it puts a lot of it into perspective. And that's when I notice some of the patterns, or that's when I notice, some of the triggers that typically result in anxiety. So take some time and just sit with that feeling, no matter how uncomfortable. The more you do it, the less you're going to have to do it. Habit number 3 is a consistent meditation practice. So I started meditating a couple of years ago, and I dedicate 10 to 15 minutes every morning meditating. If I don't do it once I wake up, it never happens. So that's the schedule that works for me. And I set aside 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the most. And what this has done for me is over time, I have stopped being reactive with my emotions and I've become more proactive. So, what I mean by that is, when the anxiety does occur, instead of feeling paralyzed or just feeling shaken, I'm able to take a step back, figure out what's causing it, and tell myself, you know what, it's okay, it's temporary, I can handle it, let's move forward. So, there's no paralysis there. I'm able to analyze what's going on and then keep on going. And that's where it's helped me really regulate the emotions. It's helped me see the big picture. instead of just that one trigger or that one incident that's caused me anxiety, because there's usually a pattern, right? There is something to all of this. There is that big story. So I'm able to connect with that story and then figure out the deeper cause of my anxiety. Meditation has also helped me embrace more of a positive psychology. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm starting to feel uneasy, or God, I hate this feeling, hate feeling so anxious, my thoughts now are, okay, what is the lesson I need to learn here? Or how is this going to make me more resilient? Or how is this going to help me down the road? I'm able to look at it in a more positive light than a negative light. And through that wider lens, I'm able to learn a lot more about myself too, instead of just thinking of these triggers or these instances as a thorn on my side. Habit number 4 is I make myself vulnerable and I open up to the people that love me and the people that I love. So, there is an inner circle that I have, and these are people I trust implicitly. And so when that anxiety occurs and I feel like I'm not able to cope with it, and it's something much larger than what movement or meditation might be able to handle, I know that I can turn to these people. So, they could be good friends. Sometimes it's my family. I reach out and I tell them how I'm feeling and ask if they have the time to listen to me. And what happens is if you sit too long with your anxiety without coming up with some kind of resolution or without making it to the other side, it's just going to breed more anxiety. So you have to know what your threshold is. And that's when it's okay to reach out to other people. When I reach out to this core group of mine, I'm reminded of 2 things. The first one is that I'm not alone. It's very easy to feel that you're the only one this is happening to, or it's easy to feel very lonely, when you experience anxiety. So when you connect with somebody else, at least you stop feeling alone. You feel like there's somebody in your corner, there's somebody who gets you. And the other thing that I'm reminded of is, sometimes I'm looking at something with a very narrow lens. I'm so focused on only one side of it or one piece of it that I'm missing the whole point, and that I'm missing the big picture. So when I share my anxiety with somebody else and when I share my fears with somebody else, it really helps when they shed their perspective on the situation. Sometimes since they're removed from the actual emotion, they're able to see things a little bit differently. And somewhere in there, I might find the answer that I'm looking for or find a way to cope with my anxiety. And the last habit, but not the least, so habit number 5 is, as cliched as it sounds, is having affirmations. So a couple of years ago, I got into affirmations, and today I have 10 to 12 of them that I read on a daily basis. Before I go to bed, I go through my affirmations. And these are not just words that I read, I actually believe them and I feel them in my body, because that's the only way for them to work. And they have really helped me cope with my anxiety. For instance, I have one in there that says, I deserve to be loved and accepted. I also have one in there that says, thank you for helping me build my self-belief and self-confidence. So reading that every single day, in fact, if you can, read your affirmations multiple times a day. The more you expose yourself to them, the more they become second nature and the more you start to see them in your life. So there's a really neat exercise that was shared with me by a colleague of mine, Laura Blizzard. So I give her complete credit for this. And this exercise helped me come up with my affirmations. So the trick is take a piece of paper. On the left-hand side, list out all your fears. And then on the right-hand side, come up with contradictory sentences to those fears. So for instance, if your fear is, I'm afraid to drive on freeways and highways. Okay, that's your fear. On the right-hand side, you could twist that around and it could say, thank you for making me capable and skilled to drive on freeways and highways. So when you spin something around and when you add that positive factor to it, somewhere you start to believe it. And in a way, it helps you cope with your anxiety. So do that with your fears, come up with your affirmations, and then make them a part of your life every single day. So to put it all together, right, my 5 habits are: 1 is movement. Just sweat it out or choose to move in whatever way that works for you. Number 2 is sit with the emotion. Don't run away from it. Don't look for distractions. Become best friends with it so you can get to the root cause of it. And remember, the key is not saying I am anxious. It's saying I am feeling anxious because. Habit number 3 is develop a consistent meditation practice, one that's going to work for you, and schedule it accordingly. Habit number 4 is be vulnerable and open enough to reach out to your loved ones for help. And then habit number 5 is have your set of affirmations that you look at on a daily basis. In fact, look at it multiple times a day and make it a part of your life. So with this, I'm going to wrap up. I hope you got something out of it. If you have coping mechanisms that work for you to handle your anxiety, please share them with me. I'd love to learn more about them. I also love learning your story, so drop it in the comments section. I love connecting with you guys. And if you want to learn more about what I do and how I can help you as a health coach, please check out my website. That's www.imperfectbodies.com. Imperfect Bodies is one word. If you're looking for ways to manage your stress, I have a free guide that I put together. You can access it via the link that I've included in the description. I will catch you next week. Thank you for tuning in. In the meantime, I hope you have a fabulous week and take care of yourself. Bye.